Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Aaron Montgomery.
Keep on listening.
I don't know if these guys are that regular.
Well, welcome into the show, everybody. It's Friday, May the 25th, 2018. We're coming up on Memorial Day weekend for all of our listeners here in the USA. I'm Terry Combs with Equipment Zone, and you can also find me over at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at aaronmontgomery.info. Today, we're going to switch things up a bit, as you can see here if you're watching the live version. Our show producer, Eric Campbell, is joining us. And in fact, we already got him in here. What the heck? And you guys are going to be interviewing me today as kind of a fun little take here. And we're going to talk about who your customer is.
Well, this is 2 weeks in a row where Eric's been on here asking questions, Aaron. So it feels like the slow nudge out, or the slow nudge in, depending on your perspective.
Yeah, which one of us is it going to be?
Well, all I know is this: Eric and I are both wearing matching shirts today. For anybody watching on Facebook, so well, at least the same color.
It's like I'm the odd man out. So
we can't lose you. You got the gear.
That's true.
You get to stay in the band forever.
Yeah, you could take your ball and go home.
I'm just one regular guy, darn it. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Don't piss me off, guys. Awesome. Well, Terry, any news stuff before we kind of get into the meat of this here?
Yeah, actually, just a real quick one. There's a really good online article, Impressions, that came out this week. It's titled "How to Increase Your Staff Motivation" by Connie Smith. And she offers a list of things you can do for no money, which really attracted my attention.
It's our favorite price.
Exactly, my favorite price. But it's actually going to be linked on our website. But Connie comes from the embroidery side of the business and plus 30 years in the business, and really, really good article. So you guys should take a look at it.
Awesome. Eric, you familiar with Connie? Have you met her before?
I haven't, but honestly, good article, good content. So I'd surely love to.
Awesome.
I know somebody I haven't met in the business, right?
Embroidery side.
Doesn't happen every day, right?
We always just assume, embroidery person. Eric knows them. No worries.
Right. I'll check in with her at the next meeting.
Okay.
We all know each other. So
your secret meeting, right?
Secret embroidery meeting. Nice.
The next life meeting, I will make sure and introduce myself.
Awesome. Well, keeping with
I know how to find it. You follow the thread, right? Like on Twitter. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's how. Kind of a day.
It can only go downhill from now.
All right. Well, we're going to keep on the impressions theme here, and great new tip sheet by some guy that we might know named Terry Combs out there. It's called "Factors for Direct-to-Garment Printing Success." So.
Awesome.
I gave that a read this morning, and it was really good stuff, Terry. How long ago? I just saw it, so you must be fairly new.
Yeah. I did that one a couple. Actually, I've had about 3 articles in the oven for impressions, and one of them I just submitted last Thursday. So I have to look at them and go, okay, now which one is this?
Nice. All right. Good stuff there. All right. Well, let's see here. Where are we at here? There we go. Staying tuned till the end. It's going to be a great conversation today. I am really excited and looking forward to a passion topic of mine today. But Terry's also going to be bringing us 5 things at the end, and he's going to share 5 things that identify you as a micromanager. I've not read ahead yet, but I'm a little nervous about this list.
It's funny. My buddy Jeff Morgenthaler and I, we were always talking about writing a book together called "How to Micromanage Your Business to Success." So,
is that possible?
It's going to be one of those where you talk about how to micromanage, and on the other page, or maybe you might want to try this. All right. Well, we love to bring you guys this show every week. We have been on the air since February 2013, so we're now well into our 6 seasons. We always avoid the rants and lectures, and we would love to have you visit our webpage, which is 2, regularguys.com, and you can check out the show notes and the links that Aaron and I were just talking about. You can find those all on our website. We're always looking for suggestions for future shows, and you can do that through our Contact Us page. And we are all over social media at 2 regular guys. If you're watching live on Facebook right now, we would love to hear comments, insights, questions, and suggestions about today's topic during the show. And I'd also like to thank our title sponsor, SGIA. And you can head over to their website at sgia.org/join to sign up to be a member today.
Yep, we've got their website up here on the live feed. So again, check them out. Had a call scheduled with them on Friday to kind of figure out where we're heading, and a business trip of theirs got in the way. So we're going to try again next Friday. It should be hopefully we'll get some more information to you guys here soon. All right. Well, let's see here, guys. I think I'm just doing. It's been a little bit since I ran the board. I don't know how. Training, but all right. Well, Eric is here. Should we start this up?
Let's let you loose, sir.
Yeah, let's do that. And so Aaron's going to talk to us today about who is your customer. So, Aaron, start us off with an overview of what we're going to be talking about this week.
Well, Terry, you and I were kind of talking about some things the other day on Skype, and this is definitely, like I said, a passion subject of mine, and actually it really started. My wife, for those of you who don't know, my wife is a counselor at the VA as her day job, but like it seems like most other people throughout the world today, everybody's got their side hustle going, and her side hustle is the Rodan and Fields consultant, and she's been doing it for about 2 years now. And so I really always try to help her out. It's something that she's really passionate about, and she enjoys doing. And you would think that Rodan and Fields, for those you don't know, is a skincare product made by the doctors that invented Proactive, and you would think that the business is skincare related. But if you really dig into the business, it's more about, in this case, typically ladies, but people who are looking for their own side business. So it's, the skincare is just a way to get from point A to point B. But the real customer, my wife's real customer, is people looking for their own side business. So, she's had to really pivot. She went into this thinking that she could just sell skincare and be successful, and that's not been the case. So, that got me thinking about our business environment in general, and things are changing super rapidly as we kind of move forward here. What would have changed in the course of 10 years or 5 years seems like today is changing every month. How business is done, thanks to the as Terry likes to call them, Skynets of the world, or things like that. So I think it becomes more and more important to really know who your customer is, and fully identify that, and then understand how they're changing, what their buying habits are, and really immerse yourself in them, and be part of their community. That's where social media comes in and things like that. So, you think about companies like Sears or J.C. Penney's. What happened to them? They did. You can maybe, if you still find a mall that's not completely run down, looking like the zombie apocalypse, you might be able to find them, but they didn't embrace the changes. So now they're struggling mightily. Maybe a little bit later, I'll tell you the story of Polaroid. Anybody still shake their pictures? That song was pretty old. Shake it like a Polaroid picture. But so I think you can look at this from a lot of different
Eric,
levels.
I think you can hear Aaron, but I can't. So
actually, I can hear Aaron just fine. I think he's still coming through.
Okay.
He's frozen on my screen, but I can see you.
Okay. Terry,
it's good thing I'm asking the next question, I guess.
Exactly.
We'll just point to you, Terry. We'll go. All right. So anyhow, let me just kind of wrap up this thought process here. So, looking at this from a lot of different levels, I think some major companies are going to be facing some big problems if they don't really get a handle on this. One company that I think is really interesting to look at is Facebook.
Yeah, well, Facebook. I mean, tell us more about how you think Facebook's missing who their customer is. Tons of people are going to say, hey, Facebook's got, a good chunk of the world working on it right now. It's a huge entity. They have tons of information about us. So how could they not know their customer profile? I mean, what do you think is going on at Facebook?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, obviously, Facebook, they've got over 2 billion monthly active users. So, yeah, they're pretty big, and they've been profitable since they went public. And, and so we kind of look at them as a company that's too big to fail. But if you've been following them at all, they are finally, for the first time, I don't know if I'm saying that as I'm happy about it because I don't like Facebook, or I mean, the dark overlord and all that. No, my point is that you really, I think you're seeing them struggle a little bit. They've, for the first time, had some negative numbers. They've had some drop in users. They've had some challenges. They've been up there in Congress having to answer some pretty serious questions. And, so this is not to say that they're going away anytime soon, but to me, I think they might be facing an identity crisis. They have stockholders that want them to make money, earn them a return on their investment. And I think a lot of that has to do with that they either don't know or don't care to understand who their customer really is. And if you think about Facebook and how they make money off of ads. So those people that are posting ads and having ads are all of their business pages that they've basically spent the last few years, in my mind, screwing over. They told you to build these business pages, get all these organic likes, and all these companies that were, getting 20, 30% organic reach. It drops all the time, and it continues to drop. Every time they make an algorithm change, it drops. Yet these are their customers. These are the people that are actually paying the bills. Yet Facebook seems a little bit more concerned about grandma not seeing too many ads, and I understand, that can be a good thing in some regards.
Sure.
But they're doing these things at the expense of their customer without being very transparent to their customers about what's going on. So I think, if they're not careful with how they move forward, this could be their demise. It could go the way of, MySpace, possibly.
Well, and you have to think, when you're not paying for something, as we are not paying for Facebook, well, if you're not paying for a service, then you are the service. You are the thing they're selling. You're the product. And all the people out here are on Facebook, and I'm on Facebook all the time. I use it constantly. But we are the product that's being sold to advertisers. Our attention is being sold to advertisers. And you're right. If they're not thinking about what those advertisers need and what makes sense to them, that's a problem. I mean, you've got a huge user base, so you're right. They're not going away anytime soon, but they may not be growing, and they may certainly not be making stockholders happy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've got some challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about all these big companies, talking about Sears, JCPenney's, things that are dying in retail. Everybody goes, okay, yeah, well, what about something that's closer to home, something that's more like what we're doing here in our industry, something that we know? What about some closer to home companies that might be missing the mark?
Well, I think in general, we all can be wary of these things. I think if we really aren't focused on that, we all could go down that road. And so, I think closer to home could be actually you, but a couple of examples in general, maybe in our arena would be, some of the trade shows. I don't think, I don't personally know all the nuts and bolts of their inner workings. But at times it seems like certain decisions are being made and policies being put into place that don't really indicate they understand who their customers are, So instead of, calling people out and getting myself in more trouble, I'm going to give you an example of the opposite of people I think are doing it right on the positive side of it. And to me, that's, show that the three of us have been very updated and been involved with is the DAK Shows. I can't think of an exhibitor ever that I've talked to that's been at the DAK shows who don't think Scott and Margie go over and above for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the exhibitors are who are paying the bills for them. That's the ones where they make their money. And, they've been doing it for 21 years and they're growing every year. And, so that kind of goes to show you something. They on top of that, they work really hard to provide a really quality education, and they make sure that all the speakers are taken care of too. That's how you get quality speakers to keep coming back every year is, you make sure that they feel comfortable and wanted and needed, and, and they can cover their expenses and things like that. So without having to be an exhibitor, because if you're just bringing in exhibitors to be your speakers, you're basically going to have, 90-minute sales presentations. So, and then even closer to home, you've got some distributors out there trying to be something to everybody, but not really focused on any one thing. You need a direct-to-garment machine or you need a pack of paper, you can get it, but do you really get the help, the understanding, the expertise that you need to be successful? So I guess those are some of the closer to home things.
Oh, no, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And certainly when I think about, especially you're talking about the DAK shows, whenever you're talking about the DAK shows, it seems to me that the one thing they've done, and we're going to talk about this a little later, is they've really understood the market. Because some people will tell me, they're like, okay, I like to go to the big shows because I want to see everything. And I say, those are great shows. There's nothing wrong with the big shows. Love the big shows. But the DAK shows know that they have that smaller focus, but that also means a more personal experience. And they've crafted it to be that more personal experience. You've got, maybe the classes are a little smaller, but that means more one-on-one time with educators. Maybe you've got a couple fewer, distributors who are there or people who are there, but it means that in the booth, they spend time with you. Like you go to a DAK show, you can really lock someone down and get some time spent with them. So I would say they understand that and they cater to it. It's good that they're growing, and I love that they're growing. Honestly, it's been getting bigger and bigger every year, but it's also cool to see that they still have that very family-oriented one-on-one service, and they know that. I mean, I think that they know who they are, and that's a big part of that. Sure. And then when we're talking about distributors, the same kind of thing. It's one of my constant drum beats too. I know you always talk about it. I always talk about it. We're always getting on knowing what your unique value is. And for me, I always say, especially for you guys, decorators who are out there, people who are making stuff day in, day out, you want to be a consultant, not a commodity. And part of doing that is meaning you have to care about what your customer really needs. You have to share the knowledge you have, and you have to kind of give that unique value, know what their market is and what you're able to do and able to give them that other people can't. So when you're talking about all the trouble people have, like identifying their customer, knowing these markets, what do you think businesses can do to avoid some of these pitfalls?
Well, one of the big things that, in fact, it's something that Terry and I have spent a lot of time over the years talking about. In fact, Terry, you just a pretty face, or you're actually hearing us yet?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
If anybody was watching me frantically typing and looking around.
I wasn't just trying to edge Terry out. He wasn't the first one off the boat or anything.
It was super weird. I could hear Eric perfectly, and Aaron, you were just frozen there on the screen, and I'm like, well, wow. I don't know if it's my turn to talk or not.
Well, that's probably the longest we've gone without Terry saying something. So I think
that's fine, because I'll fill any void with talking.
All right. Well, since we have Terry back, I can talk about him or not feel bad that I'm talking behind his back. But so, as I said, Terry and I have spent a ton of time talking about this and shows, seminars, and it's really finding your niche and owning it. The only way to do that is to really immerse yourself in your customers and to understand them. So I think, therefore, you're going to be able to fill those needs and not worry about the race to the bottom with the price wars. The other thing to do, so that's number one. So you asked about avoiding the pitfalls. Number one is really finding and owning your niche. And sorry, there's some comments coming up too, some great stuff that I keep posting up on the board, so that's why I keep losing my spot. But
I may need to run the boards when you do the interviews next time.
I think we've learned something today. I'm like, sparkly lights. My attention span is pretty short.
So right. Along with your niche, focus. Focus is something that you need to do.
Gosh,
sorry, sir.
Hit the nail on the head. You're right.
Okay.
All right. So number one, finding your niche and owning it. The other thing you've got to do is you just got to swallow your pride. I think the Polaroid story that I mentioned earlier is not going to be one that we want to follow. So if any of you don't know what happened to Polaroid, they basically owned, or at least had, the technology for digital cameras before anybody else. But they saw this big cash cow in their film business, and their pride, their ego got in the way, and they said, well, you know what? We know better than our customers. Even though our customers are clamoring for digital technology, we're going to just keep pumping out these pictures that you've got to shake and wait 30 seconds for the photo to come out, so they hid that technology. And, once it finally started getting out there, Polaroid couldn't then come back and catch up, and they went out of business because, they didn't swallow their pride. They thought they knew better than their customers, and then had some problems, but to come back to the positive, trying to be more positive, that's you look at somebody like Walmart. Walmart has actually really done an amazing job of embracing the e-commerce world and getting involved in that. The Amazon kind of forced their hand into making a business change, and instead of saying, nope, we know better, we're Walmart, we're the big guys, we've got a store in on every corner, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. They said, no, we gotta embrace this. Our customers are asking for this. We don't know better than them. We don't, our customers don't want to go in and see the freak show that is a Walmart location every day. It's pretty interesting. There's a website for the people of Walmart, for crying out loud.
And by the way, you don't want to be one of those people if you have never been.
I hope I've never been featured on that, but
we all know you've done that socks and sandals thing at least once.
Yeah, I was in Albuquerque. I thought that was the thing to do.
Wow. That's usually my job.
If I had feelings, that would hurt.
All right. So Walmart, they embraced e-commerce. They've done a really good job of it. In fact, they are really the only ones that have kind of pushed Amazon. In fact, to me, my opinion is that they forced Amazon into buying the Whole Foods chain so they could keep up with Walmart and have those distribution locations that Walmart had that Amazon did not. So, I think that's...
And Aaron, and Walmart, they are promoting the heck out of that too. Just last night I was watching TV, and commercial after commercial of that Walmart box coming to the front door. Ring my bell was is the theme song for the commercials, and it's pushing the doorbell, and there's the Walmart box, and you got to give them credit for it, and along those lines in today's world, and I'm sure that 20 years ago we thought similarly, but with changes are coming fast and furious with technology and the way we do business, and if you have a sales or marketing book from 10 years ago, throw it away. It's old news.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the technical side of it. Though, actually sitting here, because I've got you guys here tonight, here's surprise question time. Because we have Terry here, who certainly teaches both traditional screen printing and direct to garment. I mean, isn't that part of this whole conversation? I know I came from a shop where we just looked at direct to garment and went, nope, it was crap when we saw it at the original trade show the first time it launched, and we didn't like it. And then they just put it out of their mind for a long period of time. But
absolutely.
I'm not saying there's not uses for traditional screen printing. Of course, there's going to be traditional screen printing in perpetuity. However, if you ignore the new technology and just kind of go, no, we're going to snub it, we're going to look down our nose at it, when there's a new market like this new one-off digital economy that's coming up, you're just going to miss out. And who knows, maybe the market you've been serving with your traditional technology, with the original tech you've been on, isn't going to stand up to it. If you've been finding a way to kind of inefficiently do small run orders with screen, and someone comes into your market with DTG, that's scary. And if you're not looking, you might just miss out. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, it's a couple of things, and one is, and I've talked about. Well, I think we've talked about everything on this show over the past 6 years. But when I started my business, I was a screen printer, and the person down the street was an embroiderer, and this person over here, they only did transfers. And so the beauty of the market today is people do multiple things, and we often quote our friend Mark Coudray on this show, where he says, if you are not doing some type of digital decoration, you're going to be left behind. And that's not to say that traditional screen printing is going away, because it's not. If somebody comes to me and they want 500 shirts, I'm sure as heck not going to DTG print them. And for cost and for the ability to do gels and puffs and glitters and metallics and things like that, that's all part of traditional screen printing. But Skynet, Amazon has changed the world. And when the machines take over, they'll be in an Amazon box. But the customer has changed, and I talk to people about that all the time when they come to a trade show and they're looking at direct-to-garment printing. I'll say, you have customers right now who say to you, "Why can't you do 3?" And they all shake their heads and go, "Yeah. I do. I'm like, those folks aren't going away. It's just going to be more and more and more of the marketplace." So, my screen printing classes are almost always sold out, full. And it's going to be a viable business for many, many years to come. But you also have to do something digital to compete in today's marketplace. So
yeah, I've been trying to tease Terry into the fact that screen printing's dead for years, and it hasn't worked out. So,
well, and I don't know if our friend Scott Fresner, our former employer of myself and Aaron, but he would walk into the screen printing classes when he introduced the TJAT, and people would fly in from all over the country for the U.S. screen printing classes, and we'd have 30 people every month. And he would literally walk into the class and say, "Well, in 2 years, screen printing will be dead. Thanks for coming." and then he would introduce me, and I'd go up and say, "No, that's not true at all." Just a few years ago, I was talking to Scott, and he goes, "You used to always say screen printing is going to be around for many, many years to come." And he goes, I was wrong about that. And you were right. It's just another part of the marketplace.
Well, but I mean, like Aaron's been saying, it's about identifying your customer. And right, there is a customer and a job for screen print. There's a customer and a job for DTG, and definitely being the embroidery guy, our technology has not really changed. I know machine companies, I'm very sorry, I'm not saying you haven't made new things that are cool. Software companies, the tools are better, but our technology hasn't changed in a very long time.
I was going to say, there are a lot of embroiderers listening right now who are using Windows 7.
Oh, are you kidding me? There's embroiderers right now who are using Windows 98. I know it because I've talked to them. And absolutely there is someone right now who is listening to this, and I'm going to identify you. It's you right now holding that floppy disk. Go convert that machine over to USB or network or anything else. Get it converted because the floppies are dying. Don't store your designs
on a Polaroid camera too.
But the same thing is, there's always, they probably do have the Polaroid camera. They're currently taking screenshots on the Polaroid and emailing them into someone. So
you guys, you guys don't have any teenage kids. My 17, soon to be 18-year-old daughter, she in fact has a Polaroid camera she got for Christmas last year, and it prints out these little 1 inch by 1 inch pictures, and that's the thing they do at parties is take Polaroids.
Well, and that's the thing. There is a market. It's just not the market Polaroid had identified. That was the problem. There was a market, and there still is a market. Same thing. Embroidery always going to be like a high-end piece of outerwear, a polo shirt. I don't want that printed. And I know that sounds terrible. Sometimes you can print them. I've done it myself. I've been on a time crunch, truthfully. High-end Nike polo, I want an embroidered logo on that thing. That's just me. But that's also the market. You can identify these markets. So I want to bring this back. We're supposed to be identifying markets, talking to Aaron about the stuff, and here's Terry.
Once my microphone was working again, I just took over the conversation.
Right? Once the microphone was
I was all pent up.
Oh, that's my fault. I brought you in. I asked you a question. Shame on me. But Aaron, we're talking about identifying these niches, exploring those spaces. So, we need to know our unique value in the space. And you explained to us that not only do we have to identify ourselves, we have to know that value and really plumb the depths of that niche. So what can we do to be more adaptable, to identify the niche and not get caught up in the way we've always done things? Quote unquote, it's the worst reason to do anything because it's how we do it. It's how it's been done. The worst reason ever to justify anything.
Yeah, that's actually... Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
Oh no, you're right, man. Go jump in. We'll take it over again.
Well, when you say that's the way we've always done things, it just makes me giggle because when I moved out here to St. Louis, I took over a job here, and one of the first things that I did was put up this picture on the front of my door of my office. That is one that I've kind of always looked to, and it was actually something my dad sent to me, and it's basically a picture of a guy in his all whites with his little red sash. A bull is like goring him and throwing him up in the air, and below it says, just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. And it was a picture of the running of the bulls, and I think true. Yeah, and I think that's one thing that you have to do to embrace. You have to be able to embrace that kind of a mentality in today's world. Just because you did it this way, 2 years ago, a year ago, that doesn't mean that it's going to actually work for you today. Just because, you were able to screen print everything doesn't mean that you don't need to be looking at a direct-to-garment machine. Or, just because you didn't do fulfillment in your sublimation business, maybe you need to do that now, things like that. So I'm going to actually steal a comment that Marshall made a little earlier here as another piece here. And he says, number one question, discover your unfair advantage you have over your competition. Don't participate in business with a level playing field. So that to me is a really good point, and also says to me that we have to not worry about the guy up the street. If he's doing a, get 21 shirts for $7 kind of baloney deal, who cares? That doesn't mean you've got to do that. You have to separate yourself and bring your own value to this and focus on you. People worrying about what the next guy's doing are going to spend way too much time on that and not enough time continually improving your own business. So those are some of the things to me, Eric, that you really need to do, some actionable steps. Immerse yourself, talk to your customers all the time. Social media is a great tool to be able to get out there and talk to them without having to be face to face with them all the time. So those are some of the tools, actionable steps I see. So,
well, and let me add to that too, Aaron, because all these ideas that you talk about here, these are all really great ideas. You can't be buried in your business so much that you don't ever have time to do any of these things, and that's probably one of the biggest things I see, especially for small businesses. I'm there 12 hours a day. I'm printing shirts. I'm the printer. I'm the shipper. I'm the art department. You know what? Hire some people and grow your business, because you're gonna die on the vine. All these new ideas, technologies are going to pass you by because you're busy delivering T-shirts. So there's another step to the process.
Yeah, you'll hear it all the time. The phrase you always hear is work on your business, not in your business. And it sounds cheesy. And the reason why it's a cliche and why everybody says it all the time is because it's something that nobody's really getting a hold of most of the time. And I'll say, certainly, talking to decorators, invariably what happens is we're often creative people who like to make stuff. We want to make cool shirts. We want to make this design. We get excited about techniques. Heck, I write about techniques all the time. And sometimes I stop myself and go, okay, guys, I want you to listen to this one business thing that I'm going to tell you. I know you want to get back to the techniques and the fun stuff and the designs, but let's talk real quick about this business thing, because this is what's going to enable you to do the fun stuff that you want to do. Even if it's something you don't like to do, you want to have somebody who does want to work in business development. Partner with them. You want to be the person delivering the shirts? Cool. Even if you own the place, fine. But then make sure you have someone with that business mind, with that marketing mind, who wants to get out there and do this stuff, because otherwise, yeah, it's short term. You can't think like that. You can't think about one job. You have to think about what your business is, what your purpose is. And like Aaron's saying, you have to have that unique value. What is it that your business can do that no one else can do? What is it about you, maybe even as a person, as a personality? What is it about you that is different than anybody else who's doing this? Yeah. We all have something. It might be something weird, but we all have something. And some of that weird stuff is what you should embrace. The weird is what gets you noticed and what makes you who you are. And like we said, it's about caring about what that customer really needs once you've identified them. And we talk about niche marketing, and here I am, I'm taking over again. We talk about niche marketing. If you're in a niche, a cultural niche or a hobby or something like that, you already have this deep knowledge you can play on to work in that niche and serve people in a way that they haven't been served or can't be served by anyone who doesn't know that stuff. So think about that place. Where is your knowledge that other people don't have? And think about those people as a potential customer source, because that really is going to make a difference.
Yeah. So that's, in fact, Jan Callahan just said Jay's secret sauce story, and there's a good tie in there.
That's true. Secret sauce. What is it you have other people don't have? You can identify that. You can work on that.
Yeah, totally. Well, so first off, hey, Terry, do you think somehow Eric can manage to take over 2 regular guys by himself? We didn't think about that potential issue.
Delegate.
I think it would be, he was talking earlier about being able to play some recordings. He could actually change shirts and record half of it and do the other half live. And yeah, we're out. We're out.
I talk to myself anyway. It's fine.
Awesome. Before we go further, guys, because I'm that squirrel, that shiny object thing, but couple comments I wanted to post up here, because I appreciate everybody joining us and interacting. That's kind of what we've always gone for here with 2 regular guys, is this being a community and an opportunity to interact with other smart people, or smarter people than us, maybe. So speaking of smarter people than us, I had a little bit of a sinking feeling when I read this comment. While you're talking about Polaroid, consider Kodak film. I may have interchanged the two in my, so I'll have to go back and do a little research. I can't remember exact. Both of them obviously had some challenges, but one of the two had digital camera technology, and now I may have screwed that up. So there's one.
I actually just watched a movie about the last day that you could get Kodachrome film developed at a little place in Kansas. So
nice. Okay. All right. So I may have been remiss there. So error correcting as we go. And then Marshall had a comment that I just wanted to share back when we were talking about, that just because it's the way we've always done it doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. And he said an open mind means you can change it. And then also I just wanted to welcome in Dan Campbell, good guy. We haven't had a chance to talk to Dan in a while, and but he was having some connection issues. So Dan, I'm not sure if you've been able to see the video yet or not, but we are here, I believe.
We're certainly talking an awful lot if we're not here.
All right. Let's see here. Oh, just a couple other quick comments. Dan said, I found it interesting that the collegiate frat sorority market is a very specific target audience as far as art style and even garment style goes. So there's a good tip we'd like to share. And okay, a couple other. Oh, this is Brian McDermott. This is just a personal story. I was fortunate enough to be a coach of a collegiate volleyball team, one of my favorite experiences I ever had. And Brian was one of the leaders of that team. And so he's just popping in and saying hi. But hello, Brian. Good to see you.
And see, there's a market. The person who owns the place I actually worked at last as a decorator, he was deeply involved in volleyball. And let me tell you how much volleyball stuff we did. Partially why? Because he understood what the products were that people really wanted there. And they weren't the products you might have expected. And it's one of those things. I have this story I always tell about my folk instrument business. Now, people don't know this because I don't exactly show this that very often, but I play an instrument called an Appalachian or a mountain dulcimer. Yeah, I know. One more weird thing. Embrace your weirdness, guys.
We need to have that on the show.
I have one in the office.
Maybe you can do an intro for us.
I'm rusty as all get out, but I used to literally jump up on stages and go to the folk festivals and all that stuff. But one of the things I did was I had this little side business. Our business was failing. I'm not going to lie. The original 2 businesses ago that I was in, the business was starting to falter. We were having a major drop in sales. And I said, okay, well, can I run a side e-commerce business myself out of the shop, and we'll just, whatever we can make, we'll make. They said, yes, we did it. I did a bunch of designs. It was all for these people who play instruments like I do, this folk instrument, this dulcimer, that are weird instruments that people don't know. And I decided I'm going to make designs for every instrument I've heard of that nobody else knows about. And so I had this niche, totally underserved. And the other thing I did, I had these bags, little canvas tote bags. They were cheap as anything. However, they had a gusseted bottom. If you don't know what that is, it's where the bottom sits flat. What's that good for? Sticking a bunch of music books in, so you can carry this stuff with you when you're gigging. So here I am. I ended up paying my own wages at a failing company by selling this stuff into a niche that I knew really well. And also, for all you guys who are afraid of doing sales, it doesn't feel like sales when you know the thing that you're giving someone is valuable and you're helping them out.
That's true.
And this is such a tiny version of it, but think about that. If I can do that little tiny version on a single head machine, what can you guys do in your businesses by saying, okay, I'm into fishing, I'm into, whatever it is, I'm into bowling, and serving the absolute needs you know about right now. I mean, it's pretty powerful stuff.
Well, I do have to add that I grew up in Saltville, Virginia, which is in the Clinch Mountains, the birthplace of bluegrass. So I know what a dulcimer is.
Wow, I do not. But this has been a great show. That definitely has to happen. Definitely has to happen.
Literally in the office right now, but I'm not playing it live out of nowhere. It's not happening.
All right, but we are holding you to that.
New awesome. Intro is all mountain music. Also have a solid bodied electric dulcimer on which I play rock and roll. But that's a little weirder. Once again, embrace that.
DC. I think they had the electric dulcimer, didn't they?
There's been several. It's awesome. I'll put one through a distortion pedal. I'm not afraid.
Wow, we've gone completely off the rails now. Good stuff. Gone everywhere from Skynet to volleyball and to dulcimers and even a bowling reference. I am so happy today. This is
Aaron, I remember when you took up bowling and then you opened the trunk of your car and you had like 5 bowling balls in there. I'm like, what? Why do you have so many? It was like golf for you. Oh, well, I need my putter,
At the same time, if I see that, I'm going, that's a market. Because if one person who bowls has 5 bowling balls, I'm like, that person's got 5 bags that need to get monogrammed right now, and I've got something I can do. That's a market.
Absolutely. The gear was half the fun. So,
and think about the spends people do on this stuff. We are so lucky that in the decorated apparel accessories market, that every single one of these groups we talked about, I have made something for all those groups, and I know you guys have too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good stuff.
Well, Aaron, do you have any more gems of wisdom here before we move on?
Well, I did just want to kind of close this out as kind of a, I didn't want it to be a lecture about what not to do, and but I do think it's interesting to kind of study other industries, other companies, and to really think about it, think about what challenges they're facing, but then take that thought process and tune it towards your business. So Facebook, for example, they're having an identity crisis potentially with who's actually paying their bills and how they're treating those customers. So why don't we think about that in our own business? Are we treating the customers that are most profitable to us the way that they want to be treated? Are we understanding their needs, or are our policies useful for those folks, so if we're always going to have a 72 piece minimum and we're just going to be that's just the way we do business, and yet your core business is somebody that needs shorter runs and you're battling with that all the time, you're the one that's got to change, not the customers. You're not going to talk the customers into changing all the time, at least not long enough to be successful long term. So those are the things that I really wanted people to take away from this today is think about how other people are dealing with issues. Use the Walmart example as a good way to kind of go, okay,
but not the Polaroid example until we get that ironed out.
What's that?
But not the Polaroid example until we get that ironed out.
Yay. I won't live that down. But anyhow, so that's the takeaway I want everybody to have is, okay, think about who our customers are that are profitable to us, that we want to be doing business with, and then understand how we need to make changes to our business to better suit their needs. It's not that you got to be everything to everybody. It's not that every customer that you do business with, you have to bend over backwards for specifically, but the ones that are the profitable ones, that are your core, that are your niche, you do need to bend over backwards for them all the time. And they need to be the loudest ones out there on social media talking about how awesome your business is. And if they're not, then you're not doing a good job of making that easy for them.
The same thing holds for when you're looking for customers too. If you have a core competency and you're marketing against it, you're in trouble. If there's something that you do best, also try and identify it for yourself. Even just imagine for yourself, what is the customer who needs this thing that I can do, and go after them. I mean, find out where they live and go for them, because that's the other way to do it. You can grow into a special field or a special technique or a way of working. Even let's say you're the one I always hear, everybody comes to me and says, okay, I'm a small shop. I only have like maybe 2 embroidery heads, and yeah, I'm talking embroidery, real small shop. People will call them garage shop, basement shop, whatever. But real small shop, they'll say, how do I compete at all with the people down the street who have all these multi-heads? And I'm like, you shouldn't be in their business at all. You're not in their business. You're in the one-piece business where you take a lot of time and help somebody out with something boutique that's small, where you do small runs and you take more attention to those folks, and you package things nicely, and you offer things that you can't offer at scale, so that you're not even playing the same game they are. And so that's a way you don't have to always be in that competition. And that's the thing. Go for that customer who makes sense for your model. And if not, hey, maybe you do need to upgrade and go to be doing multi-head work if that's what you need to do. But you can compete. You just have to be in the lane that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Looks like you have a little help there.
I do. I promised him that he could come in and say hello. So I'm going to slide over here real quick. You got to put that down though, son. Come here, right here in front of the camera real quick. There he is. Say hello.
All right.
Say good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. Good job, Lewis.
All right.
Good job, bud.
All right. Thanks for letting me do that, guys. It doesn't make for a great podcast, but it makes for good dad points for me. So.
Exactly. Well, hey, but before we move on, and Eric, please hang out here with us. But thanks again for coming out this week and helping us host the show. And Aaron, if you are going to be the man on the board over there now, it's time to hear a word from our other sponsor, longtime sponsor, in fact, our original sponsor of the show, Equipment Zone. Our show today is sponsored by Equipment Zone. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000 direct-to-garment printer. Equipment Zone is the only Epson reseller who sends a technician to every customer location for training. This is an absolutely free visit to your location. Equipment Zone is also the manufacturer of the #1 pre-treat machine in the industry, the Speed Treater TX. With no compressor and no special tanks, the Speed Treater TX is the easiest and most consistent pre-treat machine available worldwide. Go to equipmentzone.com for the Epson F2000, the Speed Treater TX, and for all your DTG inks and supplies. That's equipmentzone.com. That's equipmentzone.com. All right. Well, we appreciate Equipment Zone's support over all these years. And obviously, it's time to record a new commercial because Equipment Zone is shipping the F2000 and the F2100 as well. And next weekend, not this weekend tomorrow, but the following weekend, I'm going to be at Equipment Zone in New Jersey doing the DTG Academy. I'm going to be there with Dane Clement from Great Dane Graphics. I'm going to be there with Jay Bassell, our our social media whiz, Matt Rome from Epson, and then some of the tech staff. And it's going to be a 2-day class on not only direct-to-garment printing, but sales, marketing, preparing your artwork. Is going to be an awesome event, and looking forward to that. It's really filling up. So if anybody's thinking about coming, you probably ought to get signed up today or this weekend.
Yeah. Terry, you may want to get that marketing social media whiz on that ad. I don't know.
Yeah, I should do that. Yeah.
I think Jay was listening in. I'm not sure. All right. I did have a quick reminder because it's almost expired here, and Marshall came on with us not terribly long ago and gave us a great opportunity, great offer on his Price for Profit book. You get 30% off with a 2 Regular Guys coupon code, and the code is 2 Regular Guys Rock ! And that expires on June 1st. So make sure you get on over to AtkinsonT-shirt.com and check out that Price for Profit book. And we'll have a link in the show notes and whatnot. But that expires June 1st. So I just wanted to remind everybody, buy that book now and save 30%. That's a big number.
Pretty awesome.
30% is a pretty good discount.
Marshall does some great work, so you take advantage of that. And Aaron, getting down here to the end, what events do you have coming up?
Well, I've been doing an event every Saturday morning. It's just it's starting to grow for me, and it's been a lot of fun. And it's about a 30-minute tops, sometimes a little less than 15 minutes, just depending on who all is jumping in. And I call it Small Business Saturdays because to me, small businesses is the backbone of our society, and I want to do my best to help out where I can. And instead of just thinking about them one day out of the year, I try to make it at least weekly. So I've kind of updated it. I'm trying to get it to be more of a discussion, kind of like what we've got going on here with people jumping in and tuning in. So I kind of get the video started at about 9:45 and then start talking about 10 o'clock and hopefully have some folks to interact with by then. Say good morning, get the party started, get our coffee out of our 2 Regular Guys coffee cup. Anyways, but this Saturday, I'm going to be talking about 3 tools that you need to have in your tech stack and how to use them. So I'm hoping that people will get some good tips out of that, and would love people to come into that tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Time, and give me their tools that they like to use. And I always learn more from others than I'm able to share. So it's a good time. Awesome. Jan asked what time zone. It's 10 Central Time, so 11 Eastern. What's that make it like?
8 a.m. out here in Arizona.
8 a.m. in Arizona, 8 a.m. in California. I think 9 for you, Eric, right?
Yep, 9 for me.
All right.
And I remember I've been on a couple times. I remember when you were first doing that early on in the basement. You have grown a great deal in the Small Business Saturdays, man. And it's actually, I tell people, jump on. It's good stuff. Aaron's sharing some really good tips and maybe some stuff like the tech stuff that we may not always get to here. So
yeah.
Join them.
Eric, how about you? Anything coming up for you want to share? And then we'll get to Terry.
Mostly what I've got going on is articles all the time. So whether you are here or in the UK, you see me every month, either in Printware or Images Magazine UK, and there's quite a lot going on there. The cool thing is I got to do the follow-up Friday for Promo Chat. We were talking with Jay about Promo Chat this last week. Well, I recorded follow-up Friday, so sometime today they should be posting that for Promo Kitchen. I recorded that with Charity Gibson over there. So we did some little tips about how it is to speak in public. So I'll be sharing that on my Facebook and wherever you find me and anywhere else like that, you'll catch that or Promo Kitchen. So that was that following up from Promo Chats Wednesday talk about public speaking. I jump on and just talk about what it's like to teach at the shows and what I do to get rooms warmed up, whether it's sales or teaching.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, Terry, what about you?
Well, as I mentioned before, I've got June 2nd and 3rd next week, the DTG Academy. That's going to be at Equipment Zone in Franklin Lake, right outside of New York City. Pardon me, my complete screen printing business course with Atlas Screen Supply in their Chicago location. That is June 9th and 10th. I'll be doing an all-day Epson DTG class on June 14th in Cleveland, the day before the NBM show there, and that is a free event. And then my next complete screen printing business course in Phoenix is going to be at Workhorse Products, July 21st and 22nd. Looks like I'm going to be spending some time in the airport.
Just a little bit.
Shocking.
All right. Well, guys, I think we have come to that time in the show, and I think I'm ready for this. I'm going to cringe a little bit, and hopefully you're not speaking directly to me here, Terry, but give us your 5 things.
Aaron was my boss at one time at sales manager there, so it was a living hell for him, I believe. So,
for me or you?
For you. I don't work well with others. But my 5 things that identify you as a micromanager. And by the way, if you're listening to this, this isn't a good thing. So most micromanagers don't know that they are micromanagers. But number 1, if you feel you cannot take time off work for fear the wheels will fall off in your absence. Number 2, your employees will not make an independent decision and defer to you in every situation. Number 3, you feel your employees do not care about their work or the success of the company. Number 4, you feel there's only one right way to accomplish every task at work. And number 5, your employees never offer suggestions to improve their own jobs or the business. So if you identify with any of those things, you're probably a micromanager.
All right. I don't know. I can't tell how I feel yet. I did just take some time off, and I didn't fear that the wheels are going to fall off. So maybe I'm doing okay.
Now, there's some on there that I've been around quite a few managers that need to maybe listen to this a couple times. Get on the Facebook page and reread this when we put it out, folks, because you might want to internalize these ones.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're just about done here. Quick update: we haven't talked trade shows in just a little bit, so I do want to make sure we get a little bit of that information out there. NBM Cleveland is the next one I see on the list, June 15th and 16th. Then you got the ASI show coming up in Chicago, July 25th through the 26th. NBM Long Beach is coming up after that, August 2nd through the 4th. NNEP, Embroidery March, some people might call it, Nashville, is August 17th through the 18th. And then NBM Secaucus, New Jersey. NBM's looking busy here this third quarter. And NBM Secaucus, New Jersey is August 24th through the 25th. And let's see here. ISS Orlando is then the next ISS show coming up September 6th through the 8th. So that gets us pretty deep into the year there. And wow, I can't believe we're already in June here almost.
You know, the Secaucus one, NBM, they've kind of renamed it. It's NBM Secaucus / Meadowlands / New York City. And I always tell people, if you don't know where Secaucus is, if you've ever taken the train to New York City, you change trains in Secaucus. that's all my trips to Secaucus have been to the train station.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm going to take one quick second here because Marshall posted something earlier that I think actually is really worthwhile that we need to talk about for one brief moment. We got 0 minutes left, so this is perfect. So
bonus time.
I don't know if everybody's noticed, you've probably been getting a ton of like privacy policies and GDPR notifications in your emails and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Well, today is the day, I believe, that this all comes into play. And really what's happening is the European Union will start passing out fines starting today if you're not in compliance with your privacy statements and whatnot. So anyhow, Marshall put a good link up there that you can go check out on the comments section of our Facebook video feed, what you need to know. So just a quick, you know, even if you're not doing a lot of business in the EU, it's probably worthwhile just making sure you're up to speed with, you know, your email lists and your website and all that kind of fun stuff. It's just the right thing to do. And you know, likelihood of the EU coming after you is probably small at the start, but hey, you never can tell, and you don't want that, you know, being what puts you out of business. So There we go, guys.
Yeah. Market responsibly, folks. Market responsibly.
Responsible data, yes. All right, guys. Well, we've come to the close of another show here, so let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we also want to thank our show producer and guest host again, Eric Campbell. You can find him at Deco Network and also over at ericcampbell.com. That's E-Rich, E-R-I-C-H.
Every time.
It could be read Eric H. Campbell as well. So we also want to thank our sponsors, the Specialty Graphic Imaging Association and Equipment Zone. We appreciate your support.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm still not caught up with the board. All right. Well, so next week's show, we're still working on it. We got some things in the works. Eric's working hard with some folks. Terry and I are going to reach out to some people. So we'll see if you've got any suggestions for things you'd like us to talk about or guests to bring in. We're all ears. Let us know. But,
all right. And until then, Eric Campbell, he's Aaron Montgomery. I'm Terry Combs, and we are
the two regular guys. Oops, wrong one. Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.